No matter the religious affiliation, these recent archaeological discoveries that may share ties to biblical prophecies can be appreciated either through a religious lens or through a more secular historical approach. Regardless of what religious entity you identify with, if any, these are fascinating discoveries nonetheless. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look into 3 recent biblical discoveries and the stories they tell. Galilee, Jesus boat. In 1986, 2 brothers, Moshe and Yuval Lufan, made an interesting and equally unsuspecting discovery. The brothers were residents of Kibbutz Genesar, a region in Israel in sheer proximity of the Sea of Galilee. Contrary to the body of water's name as what it might suggest with the title sea, it is fresh water in nature and in actuality a lake, not a sea. The lake is not particularly deep and happens to rank second after the infamous Dead Sea located in Jordan. In 1986, as the tides had lowered even more so at the Sea of Galilee, the low tides exposed something that had been previously concealed underwater. Although the brothers were fishermen by occupation, they were amateur archaeologists by heart and craved the experience of discovering some fascinating historic relic. So, the very hint of something out of the ordinary jutting out and breaking through the sand was enough to spark their interest, and so they investigated a bit further. As it turns out, it would be their lucky day as unbeknownst to them, they had a rather mighty discovery at their fingertips. Once it became clear that the brothers had their hands on something of potential value, they reported their find to the authorities, who subsequently sent archaeologists to investigate the scene. Upon inspection, it became clear that it was a boat of some sort embedded within the shore's sediment. News quickly spread pertaining to the boat, some even claiming that it possessed large quantities of gold within, which prompted security measures to be put in place to guard the discovery, as it was still in the process of being excavated from the sediment. Excavators took extensive measures to be delicate in excavating the vessel for fear of ruining it in the process, as it became increasingly evident by its sensitive nature that it was potentially an antique treasure. Turns out they were right. After 12 long days and nights of excavation, the boat was finally free from its hiding place. Time was of the essence too, because at any point of time, the tide could resume to a higher tide, which would disturb and make the excavation process a lot more difficult and maybe even impossible. Upon getting the boat out, it was wrapped in fiberglass and foam to both protect and make sure it was safe while relocating it. It wouldn't be until 7 years later that the public would be able to lay eyes on it. For preservation measures, it had to be submerged in a chemical solution for that length of time, and this was to ensure that it wouldn't turn to dust. The boat itself was 27 feet long, 7.5 feet wide, and 4.3 feet in height, and would have been able to carry up to 15 people. Today it can be sighted at Yigal Allon Museum in Kibbutz Genesar, the same region it was discovered in. Archaeologists were able to trace the boat back and said that it dated somewhere between 40 BC and 50 AD. Different parts of the boat date back to certain periods in time, suggesting that it most likely survived several repairs. It has been identified as being constructed from cedar wood. However, it also appears to have other types of wood incorporated into it, which further suggests and supports the idea that it underwent repairs. The bottom of the boat is characterized to be flat for the purpose of being used for fishing in shallow waters. This is so that it doesn't hit the sediment below. Archaeologists suggested that it once had a mast for the purpose of sailing. Also, 4 oars were identified, which meant it could also be controlled manually through rowing. The boat was an exceptional find, not only in the eyes of historians and archaeologists alike, but also for followers of sacred texts such as the Quran, Torah, and Bible. This is due to different mentions of boats similar to the one found being used for both transport and fishing by ancient predecessors and important figures. It's suspected that Jesus himself utilized such a boat. Shelley Voxman, who works at the Israel Department of Antiquities, said the following: "It does seem that the boat fits this time range and is of the type that would have been used by Jesus and his disciples." 1st century synagogue discovered at Beit Shemesh. Another discovery was made in Israel, and just as with the Galilee boat, the discovery was made unsuspectingly. As the Beit Shemesh area of Israel was in the works of being expanded in 2017, archaeologists noticed what appeared to be stone walls. This prompted further investigation that included archaeologists as well as a team of young volunteers to continue digging on the site. Once they reached what appeared to be a floor, it became clear that they had discovered an ancient church. Other discoveries were jewellery that had crosses on them, incense burners, and even a divider. This discovery fits in with the history of the area, as during 306 to 337 CE, when the synagogue was still standing, Christianity would have been the dominant religion throughout the area. The church was identified by archaeologists as being an important building within the area. This conclusion was made based on a variety of different things, including the mosaic tiling and marble. It's not the fact that there is mosaic tiling adorning the floors that makes it particularly outstanding, but rather the images that are depicted. The church consists of a mosaic tiling depicting images of birds and trees, which, as historians have concluded, is a unique art piece that wouldn't have come cheap. It was common for other churches and buildings to have mosaic tiling, as that was a common trade of the era, but they would be available in a series of pre-designed options. In the Beit Shemesh church's case, all evidence points to the fact that the design was one that was definitely customized specifically for that church. Historians have also concluded that the green mosaic tiling used for the depiction of the tree must have been imported. That would have cost an additional price, which further shows how important this particular church was. A relic of the precious blood. In 1247, King Henry III claimed to have his hands on an incredibly precious artifact, a vial containing Jesus' blood. He instructed his nobles to gather for a meeting at Westminster Abbey, London, for the purpose of sharing something with them. This was of the utmost importance, but at the time did not say exactly what he would be disclosing prior to the event. Rather, he only referred to it in vague terms as a holy benefit. As the nobles eagerly and curiously gathered, King Henry finally disclosed the reasoning behind such a gathering. He relayed that he was in possession of what he claimed to be drops of Jesus' blood, which was securely enclosed within a vial. His claims were backed up by various means that would have indicated immense credibility at the time, such as seals from bishops, Knights Templars, and the Patriarch of Jerusalem. The king ceremoniously carried the vial within his own hands, taking it to the abbey where he entrusted it in the hands of monks. The bishop claimed that whoever praised the relic would be blessed with 6 years plus 160 days of indulgences. For avid Christian followers, this was most certainly a holy benefit. Surprisingly though, the reveal of the relic did not gather as much attention as one would expect. This was probably due to the fact that its authenticity and credibility was questioned. Another similar relic was claimed to have been found in a different abbey located in Gloucestershire. This artifact was met with a lot more excitement. As it turns out though, whoever doubted the authenticity of the relic was not wrong to do so. In fact, King Henry VIII put the vial to the test. The examiners concluded that it was not Jesus' blood, but rather a combination mixture of honey, saffron, and maybe goose blood. Some argue that it may have been presented as a political move on King Henry III's part to gain the trust of his people. Today, other exhibits with the same claims exist, with the most famous one being the Basilica of the Holy Blood located in Belgium. But what do you make of these discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.